Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Sunday School Review. This week's lesson is entitled Prophet of Courage, and it's taken from First King, the 18th chapter, verses 5 through 18. And our lesson today is about the Old Testament prophet Elijah. Uh, God chose Prophet Elijah, to confront wicked Ahab and his wicked wife Jezebel. Uh, King Ahab and his wicked wife Jezebel had led Israel to worship Baal. Now, this was during the divided kingdom, where you had the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. That is Israel and Judah. Now, Ahab was one of the most wicked prophets of Israel. He was a prophet in Israel. And he had caused all of Israel, the nation of Israel, to worship Baal. And they believed Baal was responsible for rain, among other things. Now, God had instructed Elijah to deliver Ahab a message. And that message was that there would be a drought in the land, because of sin. Now, Elijah delivered that message to King Ahab. And so what God was going to do, he was going to withhold the rain to prove that Baal was powerless, and cause Israel, as a result, cause Israel to repent. But as we know, they did not. For 3.5 years, did not rain. There was drought. Even though God brought this punishment upon them in an effort to get them to repent, but as I said, they did not repent. Now, we go to our lesson. There are three outlines here, and they're broken up this way. Verses 5 through 8 is our first outline, and it's Ahab and Obadiah. Now, let's read verse 5. And Ahab said unto Obadiah. Now, Obadiah was was in the service of King Ahab, but Obadiah was a servant of the Lord. Okay, in other words, his boss was wicked King Ahab, but Obadiah was a servant of the Lord. He was a faithful servant of the Lord. So let's read. And Ahab said unto Obadiah, there's King Ahab, go into the land unto all fountains of water and to all brooks. Peradventure we may find grass to save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. And verse 6. surveying the land. So they did, so they divided the land between them and passed throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. Now, this here tells us what type of king Ahab was. They was in a drought. The people were suffering for 3.5 years. There was a drought in the land. And Ahab is more concerned with himself. He's more concerned with saving his interests than the people. The people are suffering. And he's talking about, go and find water so I can save my stuff. And I don't care about the people. Let the people suffer. But let me be benefited. Okay, so that's what Ahab did. He said, okay, go find some water so I can save my livestock. Okay, forget about the people. Okay, so that's what is happening in those two verses, a couple of verses. Now, so Ahab went one way, Obadiah went another way. Now, as I said, the prophet Elijah, God chose him to tell the king, the wicked king Ahab, that there's going to be a drought. So after he gave him the message, Elijah disappeared. Okay, for 3.5 years, Elijah was missing. So when we, so this is what happened. Elijah was missing. So when they separated, that is the king and Obadiah separated, and then they were surveying out the land. So let's see, in verse 7, and as Obadiah was in the way, is on his way, behold, Elijah met him. And he knew him and fell on his face and said, art thou that my Lord Elijah? Okay, is that you, Elijah? You've been missing out of action for 3.5 years. Is it you? Okay, we go on to verse 8. And he answered him, I am. Go and tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. In other words, yes, it's me. It's me. So go and tell thy Lord. Now you look at Lord as small letters, meaning go and tell wicked King Ahab that I'm here. I'm here. Remember I said he had disappeared. He had vanished for 3.5 years. So now who meets Elijah? Okay, this is what happened. Obadiah meets Elijah. Okay, and yes, it's me. Now we go to verse 9. Verses 9 through 16. So yes, Elijah meets Obadiah, and he said, yes, it's me. And go tell the king, Ahab, that I'm here, and let's go to 9. And he said, what have I sinned that thou wouldest deliver thy servant unto the hand of Ahab to slay me? Now, as I said, Ahab and his wife, they were wicked. They were murderers. So Obadiah said, man, you want me to go and tell Ahab that you're here? And then you come and let's read it. And 10, as the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom whether my Lord has not sent to seek thee. And when they said, he is not there, he took an oath of the kingdom and the nation, and they found thee not. 11 and 12. And now thou sayest, now, in other words, now you tell me, go tell my Lord, that is Ahab, behold, Elijah is here, and it shall come to pass as soon as I'm gone from thee, in other words, as soon as I leave, that the Spirit of the Lord shall carry thee whither I know not. And so when I go tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. He said, man, that's a death sentence. You want me to go tell Ahab that you are here. When I go tell Ahab, you are gone. He had a history of disappearing. The Lord took him away. Okay, and they come back and you not here. That's my head. That's my head. You know that, right? Okay. And verse 11, he shall slay me. Now we go to 12 and 13. But I serve and fear the Lord from my youth. Now, as I said, Obadiah was a faithful servant of the Lord. Was it not told my Lord what I did when Jezebel slew the prophet, that is the wicked wife, slew the prophets of the Lord, and how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophet by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. And now thou sayest, go tell the Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me. Let's read 50. And Elijah said, as the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. In other words, I'm giving you my word. I'm going to appear. I'm going to be here. So now the lesson is about prophet of courage, and I know it's about Elijah, but I just want to make a point here about Obadiah. Now, Obadiah shows courage also because he said, I feared the Lord from my youth, and I hid hundreds of men of the prophets from wicked Jezebel, that she would not slay them. So it took courage. It took courage. So he had a little bit of courage too. But he was fearful that if he carry out the orders of Elijah at this point, and Elijah is not there, he's afraid. He's afraid. He's a little bit afraid. Okay, but he does show courage, and he just give an example. I've shown courage, and I'm a man of faith and courage, and so that's what happened in that outline. Elijah is telling Obadiah that I am now ready to meet with King Ahab. After 3.5 years, the drought has been 3.5 years, and he's now ready to meet with the king. Now, this again is the courage of Elijah, because the Lord has prepared him to face this wicked king. Now, if you remember about how the Lord led him by a brook and he fed him. I remember the rest of the land was in a famine, drought. So the Lord fed him by the brook, but the brook dried up. But nevertheless, the Lord fed him by a raven morning and evening, twice a day. So the Lord had prepared him. The Lord had prepared Elijah. So Elijah now knows I can depend, I can trust in God, because he didn't leave me alone. Maybe things looked at some point, especially when the brook dried up, he said, what am I going to do now? But the Lord fed it by a raven. So the Lord had built him up. So now he's telling Obadiah, the king's servant, he's telling Obadiah, I am now ready to meet with wicked King Ahab face to face. And this is what he is telling him. And so as, let's back up a tad bit, as Elijah told Obadiah to go tell the king I want to meet with him, that's when Obadiah raised some objections, and that's, those objections were overcome when Elijah gave Obadiah a promise. I will be here. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm not going to disappear and leave you hanging, because as Obadiah had said, they look high and low for him. And when the nation, when they went, they had to swear, no, he's not here. Okay. So they was diligently searching for Elijah. Now, Elijah delivered the message from the Lord. But as we're going to get into the next outline, he delivered the message from the Lord, but Ahab blamed him. And this is the next outline is going to bring that out. Elijah was just delivering the message from the Lord because of their wickedness, because he had led the nation into Baal worship. And for that, I'm going to bring punishment. The message was delivered by Elijah, but Elijah was not the one responsible for this, as we're going to go into verse, the last outline, which gives us who is actually to blame, and that is verses 17 and 18. Yeah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? As I said, no. It's going to be answered in the next question. And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Balaam. Okay. So, and this takes courage too. Elijah said, no, you are the troublemaker. Now, it took some nerve, some courage to face this wicked man and tell him, no, God withheld the rain because of your sin, not me. God sent the punishment, not me. So Elijah was not afraid to stand up to the wicked king. He said, you are the problem. And that's took courage. So Elijah was obedient despite his fear. Now, they define one definition of courage is not the absence of fear, but is in spite of. In other words, taking action in spite of fear, not the absence. So Elijah knew the type of wickedness that this man could do. He knew that. And so there was some fear there, but the courage is that is taking action in spite of the fact. It's just like, well, he might kill me. Well, I know the Lord will protect me. The Lord will provide. As I said earlier, the Lord fed him for 3.5 years. By the brook dried up. He fed him by a raven. So I know the Lord can take care of me. So I'm not afraid, or even though I have fear, I will stand up to this wicked man. I will stand up to him. And that's where the courage come in. I will face him face to face and tell him, you are the problem, not me. You are. So Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal, and God proved that Baal was powerless. And you know the story. And they thought, the prophets of Baal thought that Baal could control the rain, but they was proven wrong. So this is about the prophet of courage, the courage to stand up to this wicked king. As I said earlier, I believe, is purported that Ahab was the most wickedest king in all of Israel. As I said, we talked about the divided kingdom, Judah and Israel. But he was a king in Israel. And it's purported that he was the most wickedest of all of the kings of the nation of Israel. We'd like to thank you for watching today. We ask you to join us next week for another edition of the Sunday School Review.